Alright guys, finally I'm doing another video game review. Now let me ask you, what's the worst Sonic game? Could it be Sonic 06? Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric? Sonic Chronicles? As bad as those games are, none are reviled as much through certain segments of the Sonic community as Sonic Forces. In 2016, Sonic Forces was first announced as Project Sonic 2017. I was around 10 years old at the time, and this announcement was at the height of my Sonic obsession. I had first gotten into the games from the Archie comics, which I read at my local library, which soon became a gateway into the games, which I remember playing through Browser Emulator on my school Chromebooks. I hadn't played much Sonic, except for the first few levels of Sonic 1, 2, and 3, and Knuckles, but the majority of my opinions about the series came from watching various YouTubers. Alright, so basically what we've established is that I was a dumbass Sonic nerd kid in 4th grade who formed his opinions off of what other people told him on YouTube. Great. Anyway, at the time, I didn't know a lot about the games, but I was still very passionate about the franchise, so when Project Sonic 2017 was announced, I was real excited. The reveal trailer showed Sonic and Classic Sonic running through a post-apocalyptic city, with giant Death Egg robots looming overhead. Eggman had taken over the world, and it was up to Sonic to stop him. To 10-year-old me, this looked like a fucking awesome concept for a game. Mostly because I had been a massive fan of the Sonic comics, and the plot of that series was also about Dr. Robotnik taking over the planet with Sonic and his friends becoming freedom fighters in order to save Mobius. Not only that, but being young and not knowing what the fuck pre-rendered cutscenes were yet, I thought the game's graphics would actually look as good as they did in the teaser. So yeah, 10-year-old me was hyped AF for Sonic Forces. My ass thought this was going to be the best Sonic game of all time. No, I thought it was going to be the best damn game of all time, man. And then the game came out. At the time, the only console I had was a Wii U, so I couldn't play the game or anything. I watched some gameplay on YouTube, and I recall watching an all cutscenes compilation and liking it. Keep in mind that I was 10 at the time and did not know what good writing was. And that was it. I didn't really go out of my way to play it, and when I did eventually get a Nintendo Switch, I had grown out of my Sonic phase. Probably because so many kids at school had made fun of me for it. So, I didn't really give the game a second thought. Until a few years later. During the pandemic, I kind of rediscovered my love for the Blue Blur through Sonic YouTube, and began playing more and more Sonic games. I started out with Generations, worked my way through parts of Adventure and Unleashed, and finally beat Sonic Mania. Present day, I had gotten a PS5, and I got a free trial of PS Now because why not, and I remembered that Sonic Forces was available for download while I had the service. So I said what the hell and decided to play through the game. At this point I was well aware of the negative opinions towards Sonic Forces in the Sonic community, and I'd pretty much bought into them myself. Some blatant criticisms I could tell from footage online was that the environmental design was a massive downgrade from Generations, the gameplay was not as fast as Gens or Unleashed and seemed much more linear, and the writing in the cutscenes I once adored as a 10-year-old was really aggressively mediocre. And so I had a very, very low expectations for Sonic Forces going into it. Forces opens on Green Hell Zone, this time subversively covered in sand. Right off the bat, you can see the game's environments have taken a massive hit from the likes of Sonic Generations. Where the Green Hell we saw in Generations was lush and natural, Forces' take on Green Hell feels blocky and cartoony. And yeah, the game can have a different art style, but the art style really shouldn't look objectively worse than what came before it. The boost is still fun to use, but they've tied it in with Wisps capsules at certain intervals instead of making the boost meter fill up from rings, making it so you can use the boost much less than you could in, say, Unleashed or Generations. After this first level, Sonic arrives at a city where he is defeated by a dastardly new foe, some dude named Infinite. And wow, he has the thing from Sonic Mania on his chest. Huh. After this, we get some exposition about Sonic being captured for a long time, blah blah blah. One thing I do appreciate though is the new UI. I like the vibe it captures, and I think that it clearly gives the game a sort of identity. The percentage on the world map is a nice touch, at least in my opinion. Then we get introduced to our second playable character, the Rookie. Yes, this whole time I have declined to mention this guy. As well as having two Sonic gameplay styles, also has this Avatar guy. He or she, or they, I guess, is a custom character. The player can dress up in all sorts of crazy outfits. And I have to say, I don't really mind the inclusion of this character. I like customizing him and decking him out in all sorts of cool gear. His gameplay style is also fine. It's still not as fun as playing as standard Sonic, but it is not an unenjoyable gameplay experience, so to say. He relies on these abilities called Wispons, as well as his grappling hook. Wispons can be used for short or long range attacks, as well as some platforming. His grappling hook can be used for homing attacks and drifting, except where other Sonic games would let the player control how and when they drift. Since Forces is for babies, they kinda just take that away from you and have it do it automatically. Oh yeah, did I mention how easy Forces is? Where other Sonic games would have more challenges in the level design, Forces guides the player through the game, making the game a breeze for even the most casual gamer. The ranking system has also been nerfed since we last saw it, making it extremely easy to get A and S ranks. In most other games, if you lost rings more than once or died, you would almost immediately not get an S rank. But in Sonic Forces, the game gives the player much more leeway. The game is built to be easily accessible, and while it's not a bad thing for newer players, i.e. literal babies, for more experienced players it feels very handholdy at times. Speaking of things that were great in other games but got nerfed in Forces... yeah. As mentioned before, Classic Sonic also makes a return in Forces as the game's third and final playstyle. I love the Classic Sonic games, I love Sonic 1 and Mania, and I've played through most of the other Classic games as well. I even like Classic Sonic's gameplay in Generations. He doesn't feel too bad to control there, and the environments are still really pleasing to look at. But in Forces he's just awful. I mean, I know Classic Sonic's supposed to be chubby, but does his jump have to be this weighed down? Playing as Classic in this game is an absolute chore. In fact, for the first 3/4 of this game, playing it at all felt like a chore. Yet, suddenly, 20 tedious and boring levels in, the game started to actually become fun? All of a sudden, the levels became slightly less linear and had a couple branching paths. I actually started to enjoy playing Forces. And that was how I ended the game. The final few levels, they were actually pretty good. At the end, I did think Forces was an easy, safe, and pretty boring game. But was it bad? Other than Classic Sonic, I honestly don't think so. Unlike other Sonic games, it was at least playable. It didn't have any major game-breaking bugs, at least none that I encountered. Forces failed to innovate or bring anything major new to the table, other than character customization, and it did serve as a massive downgrade from other games like Generations, but was it a joyless and unfun experience? In my opinion, no. So, in conclusion, Sonic Forces is not the worst Sonic game. It may be the least ambitious and most safe, but the game itself is perfectly playable, and in some parts it's actually pretty damn fun. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.